So let's talk about how this all happened, Ed. You picked up the phone, you gave Billy a call?
Well, I got a call about this event, and the idea was that Music Rising, which is the charity trying to bring music back to New Orleans, would put on a show for the opening of the Superdome. So my first thought was, well, what are we going to play? You know, what a song that would somehow work for that occasion. And I thought about it for a little while. The song that came to me was this old song from the late 70s from a band called the Skids, called The Saints Are Coming, which was one of my favorite songs from that period. So I thought about that, and I was thinking, well, how would we make it special? And I thought, wow, if we could get Green Day to play with us, because I just could hear them playing the song, and I just knew it would work so well if they played with us. So I texted Billie Joe. I was expecting to wait a week to get a response, and like literally 20 minutes later, it was like, yeah, it sounds great, count us in. Then I knew, okay, this is serious, this is going to happen, and you know, the rest, here we are.
Here we are, in front of this great stage, and it's going to be magnificent. So you didn't even hesitate?
No, not for a second. I didn't even tell my band members yet. I was like, guess what we're going to be doing? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess we need to get ready. But no, we flew out to London at Abbey Road Studios, which was another, just, you know, it was just playing with them, playing with U2, and then being at Abbey Road, and you know, those walls, they could talk, you know, and then just doing it for such an unbelievable cause. It was just, I don't know, I mean, we're just really excited to be a part of it, you know.
Can you help people understand the importance of music to this area, to New Orleans? Can you imagine if the music was silenced here?
It's the culture, you know. I mean, and for America that means a lot. It's just very vast and spread out. But for an area like this, for New Orleans, it's you know, it's the blood that kind of flows through the city, you know. And to see with the Edges and Music Rising, you know, putting this thing together, it's just a great thing.
You got to imagine like what Los Angeles would be like without the movies, you know, and that is what New Orleans would be like without music. It's such an integral part of the city, and more than that, it's really where it started. I mean, if you go back to the early history of New Orleans, this is a very unique and special place. It's where all of the different people, and a lot of them African American, were allowed to express their music at a time where in other parts of the country that was not allowed. So in this little area was the beginning of all the music that really introduced me to America, and I think most of the rest of the world. Jazz, R&B, rock and roll, everything started in this little area. And so not only for today and for the future, but in reference to the history and the past, I think every musician who earns money doing what they do owes a little bit of a debt to New Orleans.
But your group's more so than some others. Bono and his humanitarian work. You guys got involved with the tsunami. It could be very easy to just do your own thing and not be involved.
You know, this is when we met Green Day, we really felt that we had met kindred spirits. And here's where our thing intersects, and that is if you're in a band and you're privileged enough to be a successful band as we are, what else are you going to do? I mean, what is the real thrill of being in a band? If you get onto the Music Rising website, musicrising.org, it explains how you can make donations. There's T-shirts available. There's this amazing Gibson guitar, Epiphone guitar, that has been made available. And also, our performance is going to be released through Real Networks on their website. So you can buy the song as a download probably the night or the day after the show. So there's lots of ways people can get involved.
Billie Joe, I know you're going to be performing Wake Me Up When September Ends, and that's a song that really resonates with a lot of the people here, and I've seen you perform it before, and the emotion that comes through. Why did you want to perform it?
It was the Edge's idea to perform the song, and I don't know, I mean, at the time when it got released, the intention was never to be about, it wasn't supposed to have the intentions that people sort of kind of adopted to it. I mean, just a line like "Here Comes the Rain Again," it just starts to have this sort of eerie feeling about it. And also with the song like "The Saints Are Coming" and doing the "Beautiful Day," I think I don't know, I think the main sort of thing that it resonates is hope, and that's sort of, that's what, lifting people's spirits and getting into that, something that can rally people for hope a little bit more.
It is, and people really, it's true. They just adapt the song to what's going on in their life, and they get something out of it. Beautiful Day. The Saints had already said they were going to play it in all their pregame activities. That was just something that they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That's a fun song to play.
It's a good
too.
song to end. Well, I mean, somebody pointed out that in some ways, in New Orleans, they have the jazz funeral tradition where the band and the mourners go to the graveside with due respect and a sense of like a lament. That's the tone of the music as they go to the graveside. Then the funeral takes place. When they leave the graveside, then they play The Saints Go Marching In, and it's a party. And I think that's what this day and this event, I hope, will be for New Orleans. It's like the past is laid to rest, and from now on, okay, we've got a lot of problems to get over, but now the party starts, and so Beautiful Day is probably a fitting song.
And this is a city, as you both know, I'm sure, loves to have a party.
Absolutely.
Do you have any fond New Orleans memories that you can share with our audience? I mean, clean it up.
I can remember them. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. The first tour I ever did, the base. We toured the South, and we went straight in we were coming to New Orleans was the last date, and I was 17 years old, and.
Wow.
And it was just this sort of sense of freedom that I never really had before. I was like, I didn't really tell my parents that I was going, kind of like, well, we just played like this show these kids put on in this, But it was just, I don't know, like walking through Bourbon Street and I don't know, just all the music that's coming out from everywhere. And I don't know, that was sort of one of my first big cultural experiences because of playing music, which relates back into a place like New Orleans,
I remember coming here when we played and going off for the evening and ended up at some small little bar in some area of New Orleans that I could never tell you where it was, and seeing this incredible band, and one of the musicians was all of 11 years old playing trombone, and I found out later talking to Quint Davis that this was probably the New Birth brass band, and it was probably a trombone shorty who's now in his 20s, then was 12, playing as he had done, starting like at 9 years old, busking on the street. This was like his gig, and we were blown away. We ended up dancing on the bar, like having a wild time, but it was that kind of infectious occasion where the music is at the center of it, and it was just an amazing celebratory atmosphere. It was amazing.
Yeah, bringing the music back and letting them hear that again. Yeah. I know you all played it here before in the Superdome for the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And you had this kind of like ironic kind of happening in that after your performance you got a
I got news. Yeah, that was the weirdest twist about the whole thing. And it really didn't dawn on me until Music Rising was already up and running that on the event of our previous visit to the Super Bowl in this venue, just after I left stage, I got word from Dublin that we'd had a flood and a lot of our equipment was destroyed. The guitars and the amps that survived were the ones that I had with me in New Orleans. How weird is that?
I think, everything happens for a reason.
I know.
Now, I don't want to start a fight or anything, but lead guitar. So who?
We're into punk rock. The idea of lead guitar doesn't come into it.
No?
None of us can play worth a damn anyway, so no.
It's a different mentality, and Billie Joe is absolutely right. It's we're not into that kind of a thing. And what was really fun being in Abbey Road and playing together was the way that the players were able to find an arrangement that interlocked. And two drummers, that's difficult. That's much more difficult than two guitar players. Two bass players, that's quite tough. But we managed to find a way, and we played. I think it works really well the way we play together.
I'm sure. I can't wait to hear it.
I mean, I wanted it. The first thing I wanted to hear was him playing guitar. Like with just the song, the way he plays and the way the song calls for it. That was the way I was just like, man, it's like, I don't know, going in there and being able to I don't know, playing next to him was just an amazing feeling. It was really great.
And a final, any prediction for the game? We got two undefeated teams. It's a heated rivalry.
I know. Last time I made predictions, I
Didn't-
got into trouble around here, so I'm not going to make any
Say
predictions.
go Raiders.
That would be
Then
you.
you'll make the whole league angry.
Why not? Yeah, that's right. You rock and roll all the way to the very end.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Cannot wait to hear the music.
It was
And
a
thank you for
pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
what you're doing.
Yeah.